Hello friend, it's Jayma here, and today I'm scrapbooking some Christmas photos. These were back in 2015 when my daughter was 2 and I was pregnant with my son, and oh my gosh, my hair was so thick and shiny and luscious. And so this was at my sister's house. I am going to be following a sketch. This is a sketch that I created for this month for my customer challenge and also for our team challenge. So if you are in my customer group, you've got one more day today to get your sketch in following this sketch, and you can find it in our group in the files section. And if you order from me, you will have access to my sketches too. This is the first one I have done in my customer group as an added bonus for my customers, and I am going to keep doing it because it was fun to see everybody's sketches. So as you can see here, we've got some landscape 4x6s, a portrait 4x6, some landscape 3x4s, and a 4x4. I have used a sketch similar to this in some layouts I've done before. So there are ways that you can, rearrange photos. You could make this a 4x6 instead of 2 3x4s. This could be a 4x6 if you wanted, and bump the title up or have the title go along the side here. This can be 2 4x3s if you have more landscape photos. But I have found that this is a very versatile sketch, and I actually found 3 sets of photos that could have worked. So this is what I decided to go with, are these ones, and I am going to arrange them like this. This is going to be a flip flap, and then these ones are going to go like this. So I have them arranged almost exactly according to the sketch. I've just made this a 4x6 instead of 2 4x3s. And then I decided to put this one on the bottom, even though I really love that picture of my sister and I. The color in the background with the cabinets doesn't really go with the rest of the photos, so I'm going to have that in the flip flap, which means it's actually going to be the one that I'm scrapbooking with, and then this will be in a flip flap, and then I'm going to have journaling underneath there, so I'm going to use that extra space for journaling. So I'll go ahead and set this one aside, and this one I actually had already printed at 4x4, so that was perfect. So then my title will go right here. I just thought I'd show you another option just in case. I was going through a bunch of photos that I had already had printed, because back probably a few years prior to now, I used to print a whole bunch of photos at once, and now I print on demand at home. So I was trying to use up and go through photos that I already had printed. This is actually the same year, but this is a different location. This was with my husband's family for Christmas, and this could have worked as well. These are my 4x6s. I've got a 4x6 portrait here, and actually these would all go in a flip flap. Look at how cute her little Elmo beanie is, so adorable. And then this one I could very easily crop down to a 4x4 and go here. So even though I have extra photos, I can put these ones in a flip flap. So these ones would be in the flip flap here. And I chose this one for the top, again, for the coloring, because this one is a lot of yellow. It was in a really dim room, but it's adorable with the 2 little kiddos watching Frozen. And then this one, super cute, the little baby pulling on her dress, but I liked the focal of this one being the focal better, so I decided for this one to be on the top. So I probably will use the same sketch for these photos, but that will just be a different layout. So let me go ahead and clear this up, and I'll pull in the paper I'm going to use. All right, I have chosen the reindeer memories for my paper because if you look at my photos, my husband and my daughter are wearing plaid, and actually my nephew is too, right here. So I know there was a plaid pattern in here, and I think that that's going to be fun to work into the design. Now I've got the paper pack, the DSP pack, and the scrapbooking kit here together in one pack, and I might have them a little bit mixed up, but I think for the most part part, this on top is a scrapbooking kit. So it comes with the instructions to make 3 2-page layouts. So if you still have Christmas scrapbooking to do, this is a great way to get that done. And it has the cutting instructions and the assembly instructions all in this guide with the color photos. And it also comes with some extra chipboard pieces. So this spells joy, and then there's another piece that you'll use on one of the layouts. It comes with stickers, and then these are extra die cuts for doing the layouts as well. And then it also comes with slightly different paper. So these patterns, I love the little polka dots. They are different than what is in the regular DSP. And then this one, this pattern has 2, and those are also separate, and they're just one-sided. And then these ones are similar to the regular DSP, but they're slightly different. So there's this tree pattern, but in this pack here, the trees are slightly different. They're a little bit bigger, and there's more contrast. So they took away some of the contrast for the scrapbooking. And then another one of the big differences is this reindeer paper. I guess it's not a big difference, but it is a subtle difference, just to note that they toned back the color in this for the scrapbooking kit, just so it's not so bold. Because in card making, it's easier to have more bold colors, and in scrapbooking, sometimes it's hard to work in those busy, bold, really contrasting patterns when you're working with photos too. So let's pull in my photos, and I want to kind of decide on what papers are going to work. So I basically need 3 main papers. There's this pattern that I'm going to have flanking the sides. There's this pattern that's going to go on the top, and this pattern that's going to go on the bottom. And typically, I've talked about this before, when I'm using busy patterns, I tend to make those busy patterns be the ones that are going to be on the side, because you don't have as many photos right on top of them. We do have some photos on top of this piece here, but we can kind of pick out the patterns I like and then see how they're going to work. So this red is going to look really good because there's a lot of red in here, so I can pull that out, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to use it, I'm just picking ones that are going to work. This one is not really going to work with my photos. I'll set these aside because I know I'm going to want to use some stickers. This pattern is okay. I know I want to use some of that color though, because there's a lot of that green in my sister's decorations, like in the stockings. So that limey green is going to work. So maybe I'll pull that over. And then the back, the brown, I don't really want to work. This is not going to work. So this is another one in the scrapbooking kit where the bells are red tone on tone, but in the original DSP pack, it's more contrast. So you've got the red and white. So I'm not sure I want to bring that in. This is going to be the wrong color green, but I could use this because that's going to match those stockings. That could be maybe one of my busy patterns that goes on the side. This could maybe be a busy pattern that goes down the side because there's presents in the photos. I'm not sure I want to use the trees. I think some of the other patterns are going to work better. And then of course we have the plaid. So I think that's enough to work with. The rest of them all have the more darker green. So I'm going to go ahead and work with these, and we'll see what we can figure out. All right, I've got my photos out again. I'm going to decide which papers are going to go where, but I wanted to point this out to you because I forgot to mention it earlier. This is the photo that's going to go in the flip flap, and that's going to go right here. And you might wonder why I'm not putting it here, because it feels like this photo and this photo go together, and they do. They were taken around the same time. But the reason is this photo is quite bright. These photos are quite bright. And then these photos are kind of a little bit darker. So if I were to have this over here, if I swapped these, we've got dark photos, bright photos, and it's kind of like separated. If we move this over here, it feels a little bit more evenly distributed, and I feel like your eye can kind of go around the page a little bit better. It's just kind of personal preference. That's just something that I've looked at. This, of course, is going to go in the flip-flop, so I'll put it back to the side, but I just wanted to explain my thinking for that. All right, so now that I'm looking at these again, this is a pretty busy pattern. This could be the one that goes along the side, or this could be, I really like that one too. And then this is another busy one, and I feel like I only want to use one of these. I'm going to choose one of these three to be the busy one, and I'm kind of leaning toward this right now, but let's see what happens if we add this down here, and then this as the stripe that is above it. Or I think since the red is a heavier color, I might actually want that up a little higher. Or do I like this? Oh, I do like these colors. Even though this does have that darker green I talked about, that's okay. Let's see if I have the presents there. I think it's going to be too much with the plaid and the presents. I really like the plaid there. I'm going to grab a bigger piece of this because I'm feeling like if I've got the dark green over here, I need to bring it in over here a little bit more. I think I kind of like this. This is a busier pattern, but it doesn't have to be. I'm gonna mat the photos. I'll probably do a double mat, so that's gonna help them pop off the page. I think that having the lime green and the lime green is too much, and I think if I did these gifts, I think it's too much to have the plaid and the gifts, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna get mats on my photos and then decide for sure. Okay, so I did a white mat and a black mat, and I actually cut these down by 1/4 of an inch, and I mounted them on the placeholders that come in the scrapbooking kit. So the photos are 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. This is 4 by 6, and then this is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And I chose a black mat as my second mat because having a dark neutral like that sometimes helps kind of ground everything since I have some bright colors. So I think I'm liking this. It is very bright, it's very red heavy, but I think it's gonna be okay because we are gonna have a lot of white space up here and down here, and there's a little bit of white in between these patterns. So we are just gonna see how it works out. Okay, I've got all of my papers cut according to the measurements on the sketch, and I was considering inking around the edges of my papers because some of them, the overlapping, I thought it might make them stand out. But then I thought, you know what, let me do my embellishing first because I know I have this large tree and I've got a lot of red on red over here. So I thought if I put this over here, that might help that out. And then we do have a lot of contrast between the white and the paper, the white and the paper. I think, you know, we've got a lot of white space to help balance out the heavy patterns, and I'm not sure I need that or that I want that kind of like grunged up distressed look on this page. I could have this overlapping like that or have it under, but I'm thinking I'm going to bring in a few other embellishments. I have all these cute little deer on the sticker sheet that I could use, and then there's also this from the die cut, and I'm thinking maybe I could use one of these littler ones that would be cute, kind of nestled under there. I also have this stamp set. Now this is also in the last chance section, and it's 50% off. So if you are looking for Christmas stuff, check out the last chance section. There's Christmas as well as a ton of other stuff in that last chance section. A lot of really great deals. I will have that link down below along with all the supplies I'm using. So I saw my friend Chelsea use this right here as kind of like streamers coming down in her layout. So I was thinking of doing some stamping up here and having that kind of go up like this. I saw her do that and it looked so cute. And then over here, have that kind of stepping up like that. And I was thinking of trying that, but I'm gonna do that before I glue everything down. That way, if I mess up, I can just switch this out in case I don't like it or something. And then there's also this Festive Memories title that I think will work out really well for my title. And I'm thinking that maybe I'll have it come from over here and be like a banner that I dovetail. I was originally thinking it could come out from here, but there's not a lot of space for it to come out from behind this photo, so I'll have to kind of figure that out. All right, moment of truth. We're gonna do our stamping. I'm using black ink since I already have so much color on the page, and I'm putting a little scrap paper behind there. And I moved my photos out of the way and moved that plaid paper over just slightly so that I could start it just under that. And I'm starting longer and then kind of graduating, kind of stepping up to where it tapers to them not hanging down so far. So there we go. Let me get everything back in place. I do like the look, and I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. But then I lived with it for a bit. I didn't like it how it was, so I decided to actually have it go across the entire top and the entire bottom, and I really like that. And the other thing I did is on the right side where that landscape photo is, I had the little streamers hanging down further, and they were going behind the photo, and I didn't like that. So I made them shorter. I just turned that white paper over and started over, and it worked out nicely. Okay, so I used my anti-static powder bag to take the stick off of all of these stickers. That way I could move them around like die cuts and they don't stick. And I'm just arranging them to where I like them. I actually ended up liking this larger sticker here with all of the trees. And then I'll move the smaller deer over to the far right side, fit better with the photo over here. And then I had a couple of these trees on the sticker sheet as well, so it kind of matches that cluster on the left. And then up here, I have to be a little careful because I have the flip flap. So I added the flip flap in place just so that I would be able to see how it's going to work out. And I like the little holly piece. I think it works well kind of tucked a little bit under that flip flap. And I'm trying to make that deer work, but it's just sticking up too high and I'm not loving it. But I have a solution here in just a moment. I pulled out my stamp and die set that goes with this collection, and the paper has this deer here that matches the die. So I'm going to cut that out, and that is the perfect size and shape and everything for that spot. So now I'm happy with that cluster as well. I also cut out some of these holly and berries from that same die set. This is Granny Apple Green and then Clover from Close to My Heart. And then I used the red glitter paper that's in the Festive Glimmer Paper Pack. I believe all of this stuff is in that last chance section. So seriously, go check it out. There's really good deals. But I decided that the Granny Apple Green and having them layered was just a little bit too much. I already have so much Granny Apple Green, so I took that out and just have one holly layer, and I'm liking that better. So I'm going to put one of these in each cluster because that's what I like to do with my clusters, is kind of have one of everything, or at least every kind of style or color represented in each color. It helps really draw your eye around the page. So I'm making my journal box now. This is one of the die cuts that was on the die cut sheet. And then these are some pocket cards that also went along with this set. I used most of the pocket cards to make Christmas cards a couple months ago. And I have just these few pocket cards left, and also a bunch of stickers because it comes with stickers too. So I used one of the pocket cards to use on the back of my journal box, and then I'm going to stick this into my flip flap and have it all ready. Now this is going to go on top of my page protector, but I'm not going to put it on quite yet. Now let's work on my title. I've got that Festive Memories stamp out, and I cut myself a strip of white paper, and I'm using my Misty only because I want to make sure that it's a really bold stamped image. So I'm going to use Real Red, which is the color red that's in this collection, and I'm going to stamp it a couple of times. Also, my ink pad is getting a little dry because I used it so much over Christmas time, so that's also why I needed to stamp it twice. This is such a great size stamp for a title, and it works for so many different things, so I'm really happy to have this stamp set. It's the first time I've actually used it. That looks perfect. And I decided that I am going to have it come out from behind the photo. I just think that that looks better with the embellishments that I have over there. I thought that it would look a little bit weird coming out from the side of the page. And I have a little solution to hide anything that sticks up above the photo. So I'm going to first dovetail this and get it in place. And I could technically fit it behind the photo completely, but it feels a little too close to that square photo. I want it moved up just a little bit, and you see how it's sticking up past that photo? Problem solved. We'll just add a little holly and berries there, and that will cover it up. You could really use so many different types of little embellishments here, so don't worry if that happens to you. It's an opportunity for embellishment, and I wanted to balance it out to have an odd number of little clusters around the page, so I added another one in the other corner. Now I pulled out my gold paint pen. This thing is worth its weight in gold. I have gotten so much use out of it, especially for Christmas time. I use it on cards for Christmas too, especially. And I'm just going to go around the edge of this little banner to help it stand out. It was a little bit too stark. But the other thing I like about having my title on this white banner is that since the paper behind it is pretty busy, it adds a bit more white space to the layout. I added a little bit more gold paint pen around the page so that it is cohesive around the rest of the page as well. As a finishing touch, I'm going to add these iridescent foil gems. These are my all-time favorite gems. There's gold flecks and like iridescent flecks, and they shine beautifully and they go with everything. I think I'm on my third pack now because I love them so much. And I'm just going to put 2 or 3 in each of the clusters. When I was working on this layout, my husband came in and was looking at these photos, and we reminisced about how my daughter only needed a little broom and dustpan to play with, and it made her happy. It's amazing what, little toddlers need to keep them entertained. She loved that thing. It was one of her gifts for this Christmas. You might notice that the photo in the flip flap has a white border now. I forgot that I wanted to cut that down as well, so it has a white border, and then the black border sticks out a little further and mats that one as well. So here is a close-up at how everything turned out. Of course, I will have still shots over on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, and those links are down in the description below, along with all of the supplies I used. Also, if you're watching this the day it airs, today is the last day of Sale-a-Bration, where you get a freebie product for every $60 you spend. There are some really awesome products. All right, let's bring in this flip flap. Of course, that will go on top of the page protector, so it's an interactive element. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you'd like to see more videos with these awesome flip flaps, then check out the playlist on screen now. Have a great day.